Matt Donnelly in the Rap Studios, here with your friend and ours, Matt Ross, director of Captain Fantastic, also star of Silicon Valley, very accomplished actor.
Co-star.
How does the gap time been for you in between festival and acquisition and now premiere?
So we were actually acquired during production,
Right.
so we didn't have that journey at Sundance, which a lot of films have, so we were fortunate.
Right.
After Sundance, we went to Cannes. So we had that experience.
Nice.
I had never been there before. I went with my kids and my wife, and we went to Paris afterwards, and we got a call, because once the screening happens, everyone goes home.
Right.
The hotels cost $9,000 every 10 minutes or whatever, so everyone leaves because they can't afford to stay there. And we went to Paris, and we got a call saying, so we think you should come back because we think you're up for something. And
Oh my
I was
God.
like, what? And we had one of those crazy, like, out of a bad romantic comedy experiences where we had 3 hours to pack, and we were in our Airbnb, and my son, who literally took his luggage when we got to the Airbnb and like just dumped it, like, so his clothes were everywhere. So we had to throw everything in the luggage. We ran to the cab. The cab went to the wrong airport because there's two airports in Paris, right? And one is 45 minutes away, one was 20 minutes away. So we went to the right cab, and then with the right airport, and then we got there, we flew, and then you have to drive from Nice to Cannes, and then we were throwing on our tuxedos and gowns and everything, and then there's so much traffic, we were late to the award ceremony, so we had to jump out, and we're running through traffic and dodging. And
informal wear.
Yes, informal wear and tuxedo and sweating and like, oh my God, where are I? And then we got there, and I think they were holding the ceremony for us actually, and then the capper of all this was that I won something. So. In short, it was extraordinary.
Where did Captain Fantastic come from? I know you wrote it, and then you put. Where did it sort of spring up? What's your inspiration?
So really thinking about, well, what is it that's important to me, and also as I was having this conversation with my wife, and disagreeing, discussing, or fighting about things, what we believed, things like you don't think about if you don't have a kid, but at a certain point you're like, well, is it safe to let this 10-year-old walk to the library by themselves, 8 blocks, and depending on how you view our country or view people in general.
Your own experience as a kid.
Yeah. Is it safe? Is it not safe? And that's a small example that you can extrapolate to everything. And so I had a lot of questions, and I put them into a narrative.
Wow.
So,
Captain Fantastic is a movie it's not a Marvel movie.
Correct.
And it's not made on a Panasonic handheld that someone finds in a basement. I think this is the kind of movie that people say like, oh, they're just going away, and it's a mid-budget.
This used to be some of the bread and butter of studios, and that as studios have increasingly are answering to the global market, and they're making films to play in China and Russia, really, I think, and that is part of their global mandate, and so the films that are either too specific to our culture or they're worried that they're too specific our culture. And when you make films that's based on a toy or a candy bar or a pre-existing piece of material, coincide with this is the advent of our television, our specifically our premium cable. And other countries had this tradition for a long time. The BBC and Canal Plus, and in Europe I know of some examples and I think it started here with The Sopranos. Was the first time that HBO decided the golden age. And I think it's become a cliche about this renaissance of television, but in some sense it's really true.
It's a beautiful movie. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.